up, dude?
Howdy.
Something interesting just happened. I don't know if you noticed that, but our video is not allowed to be posted live on Facebook right now.
I didn't see that.
It says failed to post to Facebook, and it says your content couldn't be shared because this link goes against our community standards.
Oh, the ever elusive and made up community standards of Facebook.
Yeah, it will not. Wow. All right. So I guess we're YouTube tonight. Wow. This is the kind of stuff that makes it tough to do this type of a show, you know?
For
Because
real.
the subject matter can get you in a lot of trouble, right? You know?
Yeah, for real. So it's so weird that guys, Chris doesn't tell me the subjects of the show just so he can get my reactions and my raw and like just get me in the raw in the moment. And it's so weird that you bring up Antarctica.
Really?
Because you know what I was thinking about today?
What?
We were watching my kiddo is like huge on a Godzilla kick right now.
Yeah.
And we've been watching the Godzilla movies, getting him pumped up. His first theater movie is going to be the new Godzilla movie.
Hell yeah.
But we were watching Godzilla versus Kong today. And the entire opening sequence of Godzilla versus Kong is them talking about the Antarctic trip to see what was there and get to the center of Earth and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think they put that in movies. So we'd be like, oh, it's movie shit. No, that can't be real.
It's been talked about.
Yep.
Many times. That's why I got really excited about the new Godzilla movies when I saw that they were doing that. You know,
the Hollow Earth.
Oh yeah. Godzilla and Kong. I was like, yes. I like the whole Monarch thing. I like that.
Did you watch the series Monarch?
I don't have Apple TV.
Oh, bro. If I knew how to share it, I'd share it. But oh, it's so good.
All right, must watch. I'll get Apple TV just so I can watch it. How many seasons is it?
It's one season, like 8 episodes.
Okay, all right.
They're hour-long episodes. I mean, they're an hour. But Kurt Russell and his son playing the same character in a show.
Yeah, you said that a couple times, and I like Kurt Russell, so I've never seen his son in anything, so it should be interesting.
Well, did you ever? I mean, his son's been in a lot of stuff. Like, did you ever watch? Did you ever watch the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series on Disney Plus?
No.
Oh, okay, I was about to say he was in that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, dude, they did such a good job. Because I mean, who better to play a young Kurt Russell than the kid that grew up in a house watching all his mannerisms? You know what I mean?
That's really cool.
It's flawless, bro. It's absolutely flawless. Like I was so knocked, it blew me out of the water on the Godzilla series because it picks up in 2015.
Oh, okay.
Like after the first movie, it picks up after the first movie and like the fallout and everything from that, and then it picks up. It kind of skips. It really, honestly, kind of skips. What happened in the second movie.
Okay.
But I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know. Maybe it didn't skip it. Maybe they just hadn't got to that point yet. But I mean, it ended good. Like, there's going to be another season.
Nice.
But I highly recommend. The special effects were movie quality special effects.
Nice. That was a make or break for me. If I watch one of those shows and it's based on movies, like it can't be crap compared to the movie. And I know it's hard. So
I mean, when you think about the budget for these Godzilla movies, but the good thing is I think it's probably the most expensive making them in the very in like the first one, because after that you got the 3D model built.
Yeah.
You just got to tweak it a little bit. But like for that first one, I think the 2014 one, the Gareth Edwards really wanted to get the sound right. Okay. So for the roar, he wanted to get the roar right.
Yeah.
So him and the sound guy went out to the middle of nowhere, California, and set up a concert quality sound system and set off the roar the guy developed.
Really?
People called in from 3 miles away trying to figure out what the sound was.
Whoa.
Because they said scientifically an animal this size roaring like that, you wouldn't hear it up close. You would feel it, and then you would hear it for miles.
That is wild.
So they went out in the middle of nowhere and fired it off, and people were calling in trying to figure out what they'd heard.
Where do you hear this where did you find out that knowledge?
I don't know. I just pick stuff up, bro.
You're just a knower of things.
Just a knower of things. Like I mean, I'm always reading something. Like I'm always cooking on something and reading something. But yeah, that was, especially if it's something I'm into. So yeah, no, that was a fantastic. Like I was so happy for some stuff like that. Um,
But yeah, we're talking about Antarctica because
Antarctica, that's where we were at.
I'm it's still, space, the ocean. There's a lot of places we haven't really explored. One of those places is, of course, Antarctica. Allegedly, we have not explored it. And it's not been fully, you know, explored.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. The list of theories for Antarctica. Antarctica. I don't know why that word is hard for me tonight. The theories is like they range. Nazis have bases there. Um, Extraterrestrials have bases there. That it's actually not a continent; it's an ice wall enclosing the world's oceans, and for the flat plane.
Oh yeah, I mean
Um,
it's all
it's all
yeah.
over the place, right? Um, Allegedly, there's pyramids. I like what movie was that? Was it Alien versus Predator? Is that
Alien
what you
versus
like?
Predator, the first one, yeah.
God, that was a cool premise. Like I loved that, where the pyramid was underneath the ice, and it was like
And
a
a space
sacrificial.
laser. Yeah, that
Yeah,
space laser.
very cool.
Bro, I got my lighting on point tonight. Like I'm just a floating head talking to you guys.
The floating head. Um, but I am a huge fan of the Y-Files, and it's one of the videos we can play, and I don't think we get copyright strikes for it. So, because we
Probably
don't,
because he
we're not,
understands if they're streaming my stuff, they're fans. And
well,
they're discussing.
we're not trying to just, you know, use somebody else's content for nefarious purposes. You know,
True.
we want to watch it and see what ideas are out there and talk about the ideas. So
Yep.
we do have a Y-Files video queued up here, and we're gonna crack it off and see what kind of crazy secrets and mysteries he's gonna talk about beneath the
And
ice.
away we go.
Antarctica has been the source of high strangeness for a long time. Rumors of UFOs and alien bases go back to the 1930s. Hitler wanted to build bases there. Some people think he did. Operation High Jump arrived in 1946 with a
Whoa.
heavily armed U.S. Navy fleet. Their mission was to extend American sovereignty over Antarctica. The mission was supposed to take 6 months. Instead, it lasted 6 weeks. The operation ended because of poor weather. At least that's the official report. Eyewitnesses said aggressive flying, disc-shaped craft chased the Navy out of the area. In 1985, a medevac flight was forced over a no-fly zone near the South Pole. The crew saw a giant hole in the ice, as wide as a football field. When the crew returned to base, they were debriefed, not by the Navy, by men in suits. One of the crewmen said they had the typical DC look. In the 1990s, Navy flight crews reported silver discs zipping over mountain peaks at impossible speeds. The crews were told to never speak of it. In 2003, a Navy SEAL on a covert mission found an ancient structure protruding through the ice. It was made of something that wasn't quite metal, but wasn't quite stone. It was warm to the touch, and on that structure was a door. In 2018, scientists in Antarctica launched weather balloons to study cosmic rays coming from space and hitting the Earth. They found cosmic rays, as expected. But what they didn't expect, the cosmic rays were coming from something 2 miles underneath the ice. There are witnesses who have seen things, heard things, and felt things that should not exist in Antarctica, yet they do. Whatever's down there, we're not supposed to know about it. But one thing's for sure, Something very strange and very important is happening at the bottom of the world.
Are you recording? The light's not blinking. Okay. Here we go. Hello, humans. My name is Hecklefish Moriarty, and this is my Timu audition reel. You may already know me as the host of the Y-Files. Just stick it in there. Bundle.
Look around. Things seem to be in routine. Batched from
Sorry, guys.
I can't believe he is pushing Timu.
I know.
In November 1995, a Navy flight engineer who wishes to be known as Brian was part of a U.S. Navy C-130 crew. The plane flew low circles around Marie Birdland. This was an area in the southwest part of Antarctica where 15 scientists set up camp. The plane was dispatched from McMurdo Base, a few hundred miles east of camp. The protocol is for scientists to radio every day and report their status. McMurdo hadn't heard from the science team in a couple of days. That was bad. The scientists were from the National Science Foundation, and their mission was routine: study weather conditions, take ice samples, note wildlife, that sort of thing. They had no reason to wander away from camp. Even if they did, they'd be dead within an hour anyway. The C-130 flew in tighter and tighter circles. The crew could easily see the camp. The weather was clear and visibility was good. They could see the huts, fuel tanks, some equipment. Snowmobiles were lined up. Everything seemed to be in order. A C-130 Hercules is a 4-engine turboprop. It's big. It's loud. If there was a problem, this is the point where people should be popping out of huts and waving their arms, but nothing. The rescue crew landed and took a look around. 15 scientists were dropped off here about a week ago. They had enough supplies to last a month, but nobody's here. There's no tracks, no signs of anything. The crew checked the radio. It was working fine. They radio their commanding officer at McMurdo.
There were no people, no bodies, no signs of a struggle. It's like they just vanished. What do we do?
The orders came back. They were obvious. There's really nothing you can do. Fly one last search pattern and return to base. So the C-130 made a few wider circles to see if there's any sign of the science team. There was nothing. After an hour or so, they flew back to McMurdo. The missing scientists were a mystery, but Antarctica is a dangerous place. People do die there from time to time. Anything could have happened. But over a week later, the C-130 crew gets an urgent command. Immediately return to the Marie Birdland camp. The scientists somehow are back. They just radioed in and they were in a panic. They want to get out of there, and they want to get out right now.
Ooh,
Interesting.
Tired of weak and
Intriguing.
boring lighters.
oh my
We
god!
dispute incredible fire.
All right. What do you think so far, Matt?
I mean, this is intriguing.
Right?
Like the little lightsaber thing.
Oh,
Imagine a hobo trying to walk up on you, like back off, peasant, and you hit him with a lightsaber.
what kind of shit is getting peddled these days?
Dude, I don't even know.
All right, let's get back to the business.
It was created by the special forces.
Antarctica is one of Earth's most isolated and unexplored places. Over 98% is buried beneath ice sheets that are 2 and sometimes even 3 miles thick. Despite extreme weather and limited access, discoveries are being made in Antarctica that hint at extraterrestrial activity, advanced technology, and lost civilizations hidden under the miles of ice. Recent satellite images reveal several pyramid and pyramid-like structures poking through the icy landscape. The official explanation is that these are natural rock formations, but there's one pyramid built with precise geometry, with each side lining up perfectly with true north, south, east, and west. Something like this wouldn't occur in nature. This looks like intelligent design. One enormous 1.2 mile wide pyramid was found, and it could be the
Interesting.
oldest on Earth, suggesting all others were styled after it. Is this another hint that an ancient race built these monuments to generate energy? And this takes us back to the story of Tesla, trying to create free, unlimited wireless energy with his Wardenclyffe Tower experiments. He attempted to use technology that may have been used in the Great Pyramid of Giza long ago.
Tesla pyramid link below, human.
According to the Knights Templar, the true purpose of each pyramid is to store an ark, just like the Ark of the Covenant. They claim there were 10 of these arks scattered around the world that, when connected, generated unlimited energy for everyone on Earth.
Knights Templar link below.
90 million years ago, Antarctica was a rainforest. We have core samples to prove it. That's not controversial. Geologists claim Antarctica has been frozen and uninhabited for over 12 million years. So who's building pyramids beneath hundreds or thousands of feet of ice? Well, nobody. But what if Antarctica had a warmer climate more recently than 12 million years ago? Much more recently. The Pinkerton map, drawn in 1818, was the most accurate in the world. Well, almost. If you look at the southern hemisphere on the Pinkerton map, nothing exists, just open sea. Now, that makes sense. Antarctica wasn't discovered until 1820. It wasn't confirmed to be a landmass until 1840. But older maps show Antarctica not as a giant frozen continent, but as a land free of ice, a land where plants and animals lived. And these maps go back to the 1500s. In 1513, the Piri Reis map was compiled.
Pee-wee Reese?
Piri Reis.
What'd I say?
The Piri Reis map shows the coastline of Antarctica and the animals living there. The Orontius Phineas map is dated 1531. The entire continent of Antarctica is there, and there's no indication of ice at all. It shows mountain ranges that we know are there. The Piri Reis map only shows the coastline of Antarctica, but the Orontius map shows interior features of the continent. And now, because of satellite imagery, we know those features are there. They're just covered under miles of ice. If you sailed to Antarctica during the 1500s when these two maps were drawn, you'd find exactly what you'd find now. Nothing, a frozen wasteland. But that's not what the maps show. Why? Because these maps are based on much older maps. But how old is the big question? And it's a question that mainstream scientists don't want to answer. Because the last time parts of the coast of Antarctica were free of ice was at least 6,000 years ago. The human race was not supposed to be sailing the globe back then. But the Orontius Phineas map shows the entire continent free of ice. How could this be? Because it's based on a map that was drawn not 6,000 years ago, but 12,000 years ago. And the reason Antarctica wasn't covered in ice? Well, it wasn't at the South Pole.
What the? That's wild.
Yeah, that's pretty out there. Curious to see what he has to say about it not being the South Pole.
Well, it wasn't discovered
Yeah.
until the 1800s. Oh, but we have maps that are how old? Like, I don't know. I think there may have been at one time. I think it was fertile land. You know. What I mean?
Oh yeah, no, there was a. I'm trying to think of this. At one point it was a rainforest, and then dude, there was like some of the largest amphibians of all time.
What?
Were there? Yeah.
That's wild. There must have been a pole shift or something. It's the only thing. I'm trying to think of what else could have caused that.
I don't know, man. Terraforming?
Maybe.
Charles Hapgood was a Harvard-educated historian and explorer. His radical theories about Earth's geologic history made him famous and controversial. Hapgood believed that Antarctica had a temperate climate not too long ago, and living there was an advanced ancient civilization.
Atlantis?
Don't get ahead of me.
Sorry. I'm excited. Go ahead.
So there's a civilization living on Antarctica, but it's not at the South Pole. At least most of it isn't. Remember, Antarctica is a huge continent. There's plenty of land for a civilization to exist, as long as the continent's not too far south, which it wasn't. But suddenly, a crustal displacement violently relocated Antarctica into frigid polar latitudes 12,000 years ago. Hapgood believed evidence indicated that portions of the planet's surface could shift dramatically along the molten inner layers. This could conceivably transform entire continents virtually overnight. Hapgood also used the Orontius-Phineas map to help support his theory. Not only is Antarctica free of ice, it's not in the right place. Antarctica has shifted 1,000 miles away from the South Pole. That's a polar shift of 7.5 degrees.
Bam.
Hapgood said the shift
Boom.
could have happened in less than a week, maybe even in a single day.
Whoa.
If Hapgood's theory is
That
correct,
would be so
the
devastating.
destruction would have been
Right.
catastrophic. If Antarctica suddenly traveled 1,000 miles toward the South Pole, any civilization would be destroyed, and the layers of ice would start building immediately. The crust floats on the mantle, and tectonic plates are always in motion. They move away from each other, they collide with each other, but this process takes millions of years. What could possibly cause the Earth's pole to shift 7.5 degrees in a single day? Well, in 1974, Italian naval engineer Flavio Barbiero published A Civilization Under the Ice. He proposed that the remains of a lost civilization may lie under the ice of Antarctica. He says that Antarctica had a temperate climate home to a thriving civilization. Then the entire
rainforest?
continent was suddenly thrown to the South Pole due to a major impact event.
Younger Trias, here we come.
Yeah, it seems like every episode of the Y-Files ends up here. If there was a giant asteroid impact between 12 and 13,000 years ago, it could have caused a shift in the Earth's crust. We know something about 12,800 years ago suddenly caused the Earth to warm. That warming melted the Earth's ice sheets, and sea levels rose hundreds of feet. What if another result of this impact was a shifting in the Earth's poles of 7.5 degrees? Then suddenly the Orontius-Phineas map makes perfect sense. But that leaves the biggest question of all.
Yeah, but who drew the map?
Right. Clearly, whatever civilization drew the map was highly advanced. The Orontius map shows features that you could really only see from the air.
Atlantis. This is the story of Atlantis.
All of this does fit nicely with the story of Atlantis, the island nation, the advanced people, the sudden cataclysm. Every chronological event lines up perfectly. So what happened to the civilization when miles of ice started piling on top of their cities? Where did they go? Well, they didn't go anywhere. They're still down there.
Do not buy solar panels. If you live in one of these 11 states of America, it's the worst decision you...
Matt, thoughts?
I mean, it's a thought-provoking idea.
Yeah, right.
I mean, an advanced civilization suddenly shifted 1,000 miles, frozen over.
I'm starting to think. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I've thought for a very long time that I just don't believe the history. I think that we were far more advanced.
Well, think about this. So we're talking about a Great Reset or a mud flood and what have you. What if, like what he's talking about, well, I mean, hold on, I'm going to counter Aaron here. Why couldn't they still be down there? Like, if they were advanced enough and the ice started piling up, they could have easily, I mean, if you look at it, there's even in like the UK and even the United States, there's underground cities in Mexico. There's underground cities. Like, Mexico City is literally built on top of another city, and people could still live in the underground city. It's complete. It's down there. There's even cathedrals down there. Like, it's literally, Mexico City is really built on top of another city. So even me thinking that an advanced civilization suddenly finds themselves in the biggest pickle a civilization could ever find themselves in, I mean, oh, honestly, I don't think it's that unreasonable that they could be down there. You know what I mean? I don't find that one that far stretched.
I just don't know if we'll ever know the truth, to be honest.
We might not.
So criminal. All right, let's see.
Brian's C-130 rescue team mobilized out of McMurdo Base.
Here we go. I was
on
wondering
the
we're getting back to
ground at
this.
Marie Birdland Base in less than 2 hours. When the plane landed, the crew saw that the scientists had haphazardly packed all their gear on pallets and were eager to get the hell out of there. The science team boarded the aircraft in absolute silence. The crew asked them what was wrong. Are they okay? Is there anything they could do to help? The scientists just stared in silence, almost catatonic. They were clearly in shock. The crew offered them food and hot coffee. Silence. From wheels up to wheels down is 2 hours, and nobody uttered a word. When the C-130 landed at McMurdo, the scientists were told they were going on another plane. For some reason, they didn't want to move, or couldn't. Someone had to go into the plane, physically unbuckle and remove each scientist from their seat. These people clearly saw something and were suffering from PTSD. They walked like zombies to the other plane, and they were gone. Their research gear was placed in an empty storage facility and locked. The rescue crew was told not to go in there. The equipment was quarantined. The gear would stay locked and guarded until transported to a different location. Nobody knew it then, but that gear would eventually be taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. If you know your UFO lore, you know that one of the places recovered craft go is Wright-Patterson. Wright-Patterson was also the headquarters of Project Blue Book, the Air Force UFO investigation unit. Anyway, the C-130 rescue crew was called into the commander's office. Inside the office were 2 men in plain clothes who had just arrived from Washington, D.C.
Men in black.
Yep. They told the crew that they would never speak of this incident. Not the missing scientists, not the equipment, not the location of their camp, nothing. None of this ever happened. The crew flight engineer, Brian, was fine with this. This wasn't his first keep your mouth shut meeting. He had this very same meeting in this very same room about 10 years earlier. But that first meeting wasn't about people and equipment on the ground. It was a meeting about what Brian saw in the sky. In 2003, a Navy SEAL team was dispatched from McMurdo Base to the Beardmore Glacier region. Officially, they were doing routine reconnaissance. Unofficially, it was an extraction operation. The team was to find a scientist, gather his research, and return him to base. The SEAL team commander was codenamed Spartan 1. It was made very clear to him and his team that the research was extremely important and had to be protected at all costs. Now, of course, Spartan 1 agreed, but this was an odd request. As far as they knew, this researcher was just some scientist taking pictures of a glacier. And that was true, but it was much more than that. As the SEAL team approached their destination, they saw the top of a black octagon. It was protruding about 18 feet above the melting ice and snow. Spartan 1 approached and saw a huge door. It was 23 feet high and had markings that he thought looked like a star map. Also engraved in the door was a triangle with 2 lines crossing through the center. This is a symbol that's popped up in various places around the world throughout history. Journalist Linda Moulton Howe, who interviewed Spartan 1 and other witnesses, showed him the picture of a coin found in Mexico City in 1993. It had the same markings.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
That was on the outside of the door of the structure, the top right-hand corner of the door.
Spartan 1 gently pushed on the door. It was over 20 feet tall and 18 feet thick. It opened easily. It was perfectly balanced. The SEAL team entered the building. The external temperature was 40 degrees below zero. Inside the building, the temperature varied between 68 and 72 degrees. The door gently closed behind them, leaving the team in eerie silence. And the room was huge. It covered 9 acres, almost 400,000 square feet. The room was as long as 7 football fields. It took Spartan 1 and his team quite a while to walk the length of the hallway. The walls were generating a soft lime green light, though they couldn't see how. It was as if the light was coming from the walls themselves. And on the walls were rows and rows of carved characters. Spartan 1 said they reminded him of Egyptian hieroglyphics or Mayan glyphs, but they definitely weren't either. The SEAL team found their scientists taking pictures and samples of the structure. They asked him how big this place was. He pointed to a ramp at the end of the room. The ramp extended down into the rest of the building. He said in total it covered 62 acres. That's over 2.7 million square feet. It was huge and mostly under the ice. And this was only one of several structures in the area. Now, this was 2003. At this time, this giant door was the only way into the structure. But in the years since, other entrances have been found. But the only way to access them is by submarine. Subs have been going 2 miles under the ice to enter the structures. And unlike that top room, the facility's lower levels are occupied, and they're not occupied by humans.
Oh
Sea
shit,
Heroes Tunnel right behind
It's
you
about to go down,
$12,000 a month.
dude! How wild would that be?
right?
You're a soldier. You're a Navy SEAL, and they're like, "We got a mission. You're going to Antarctica." Oh man,
Hard no.
got it. Like, are we bringing guns down to the snow or what?
Brian's odd rescue mission of the disappearing scientists wasn't his first experience with Antarctica's high strangeness. In the early 1980s, his C-130 crew flew lots of missions over Antarctica. These were usually trips to resupply research stations and transport cargo and personnel, mostly routine stuff. He called them milk runs. Then one mission changed everything. Brian received word his crew was to prepare for the emergency transport of an injured scientist at Davis Station on the opposite side of Antarctica. After taking on additional medical staff at McMurdo Station, they set course for the Trans-Antarctic Mountains. Approaching the South Pole, Brian noticed his navigator plotting an unusual course. He was heading straight over a remote camp labeled Air Sampling Station. It was a no-fly zone, so off limits to planes. But with a life on the line, the crew violated the no-fly zone. As the plane gained altitude, Brian saw something he would never forget.
Left to the center line.
All right, we're at 183.
183. Good correction, you were right on center line. Engineer has the lead in plan.
There was a 300-foot wide hole carved in the ice. There were tracks all over the area and tracks extending down inside the hole. There was clearly a lot of activity around this air sampling station. Brian and his crew didn't understand why there was so much secrecy over an ice hole in the middle of nowhere.
You stay away from that asparaging ice hole, you asparaging a sneaky bastard. Johnny Dangerously?
Yeah, I got it. After delivering their patients safely to McMurdo, the crew was summoned to the commander's office.
I was summoned to the commander's office once, human. Once.
Enough with the Johnny Dangerously references, okay? In the room was an officer they'd never seen before. Also present were 2 men dressed in suits.
Men in black.
Yep.
Again.
Yep. The new officer asked about the decision to violate the no-fly zone. The crew explained they had no choice. The patient would have died if they had to fly all the way around. Then the officer just started slowly pacing back and forth, thinking to himself. Finally, he looked at the men in suits, who stepped forward. They said, "Okay, gentlemen, what you saw, you did not see. You were not over that area. You will never go over that area. You will never ever talk about this ever again. Understood?" The crew agreed. Brian's been retired from the Navy for a few years, and even though he's never signed a non-disclosure agreement, he's still not comfortable giving his full name.
Smart.
He was with the Navy for years and flew hundreds of missions in Antarctica. He saw silver UFOs on many occasions, as did other flight crews. It was such a common occurrence that it became routine banter at the mess hall. Brian didn't think much of the incident until a few months later. He was assigned to fly a group of scientists to the dome at the South Pole. The dome was decommissioned in 2010, but at the time there were other buildings inside the dome. Obviously offices and labs, but there was also a galley. Brian was in the galley one day and overheard some civilians talking about the infamous air sampling station. You know, the one in the no-fly zone with the
Vatican ice hole.
a giant hole in the ice, yes. The civilians were saying that they were going back out there to meet some visitors. Brian heard other crews saying similar things. They were taking people to the hole at the South Pole to talk with visitors. Finally, Brian asked what they meant by visitors.
What do you mean by visitors? And he said, well, my impression was that they weren't human. I said, human? You know, I said, what are you talking about? He says, it seemed to me they were talking about like an extraterrestrial or an alien, because they didn't refer to them as a person. It was a visitor.
The rumors had been circulating for years. That 300-foot hole in the ice is an entrance to a base where humans and aliens are cooperating on some type of project. What the project is or was, we don't know. This was the 1990s. But now we have Google Earth. The military is doing their best to cover up their activity in Antarctica, but there are some photographs that they just can't explain.
Dun dun dun.
In 2007, a very suspicious image appeared on Google Earth. It's a cave entrance that seems to have stairs leading to it. The ground around the entrance is discolored, as if machinery or equipment was moving in and out. The opening is about 250 feet wide. A few months after the image was released, it disappeared from Google Earth. Then sometime around 2019 or 2020, the cave entrance reappeared. But this time it doesn't look much like an entrance. In fact, even though this photo is 10 years newer, the resolution is worse. We see better detail in the older image. That's suspicious and feels like a cover-up. And speaking of cover-ups, a very interesting story appeared in the Free Republic News on April 13th, 2002. The headline read, U.S. denies spectacular ruins in Antarctica captured on video.
What?
Well, here's what happened.
Here's what happened.
A TV crew for a production company called Atlantis TV went to Antarctica. They were investigating a massive archaeological dig rumored to be happening 2 miles beneath the ice. Well, the crew disappeared.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
But Navy rescuers found their camp and some of their equipment. Among the items found was a videotape.
The goldfish
Two
kills
Navy
me.
officers showed the footage to scientists when they returned to McMurdo Base. What they saw on the tape was, now here's the quote, they said it showed spectacular ruins and other things they couldn't go into. A secret U.S. military expedition apparently discovered an ancient pyramid temple complex 2 miles beneath the ice. So pyramids are showing up again. By the way, the U.S. military blocked the tape from being released. Atlantis TV sued to get their property back. They didn't win. As far as I can tell, they went out of business a few years ago. Other odd images have been spotted on Google Earth, like this one of what appears to be an alien face.
That's like the face on Mars.
It reminds me of that too. Then there's this photo of what looks like a spaceship that crash landed. People have mentioned the shape of it looks similar to Oumuamua.
Muahua?
Oumuamua was first spotted in October 2017. It's the first known interstellar object to pass through our solar system. Its name means scout or messenger in Hawaiian. What made Oumuamua strange were its shape and the way it moved. It was about 400 feet long and 60 feet wide. This cigar-like shape is unlike any other space object we've ever seen. And somehow when Oumuamua left our solar system, it accelerated. This shouldn't have happened. There are rumors that a secret mission went to Oumuamua and said it was a derelict spacecraft. If that's true, then it could be a probe, one of many flying around our galaxy, perhaps from an alien race looking for planets with life.
More planets to conquer.
Well, there's always that risk. Aliens will discover our planet rich in resources and want it for themselves. But according to witnesses, documents, and images of Antarctica,
Not if we use them
the
up
aliens
first.
are already here, and they have been for a very, very long time.
If you watch YouTube videos for at least 1 hour a week, you could be owed up to
Not anymore. Twice a month. Oh man. It would be so cool to be part of a team and you discover something that nobody has seen in who knows how long, you know?
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty cool.
I'd be scared though. I'd be like, fuck, they're gonna kill us for knowing this shit. Like,
No, it'd be more like if your dog ever looked at you and goes, "No one will believe you," and then never spoke again. You know what I mean? Like they'd just be like, "Nobody's gonna believe him."
oh shit. God, how wild. Do you think this is true? Do you think there's ancient structures under there?
I think so. I mean, dude, there's a possibility for any of it. You know what I mean? Like you can't rule any of it out because there's always a chance. I mean, now am I saying like it's all absolute? No, I will never say it's all absolute. But I mean, I will say there's a chance.
I get suspicious because I'm like, so what if our history is different than what we've been taught? Who cares, right? Wouldn't we want to be like, oh, new discovery, oh my gosh, things are changing. There's got to be something deeper. Like there has to be, or else why would you hide it?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm 100% on board with you here on this. Like I said, what I'm thinking is trying to think of the right word here. I mean, like you said, it was tropical. I mean, and here's the thing. So what if, and this is just, let's just put it out there. What if this is Atlantis? You know what I mean? What if it's Atlantis? And what if whatever caused it to shift knocked out the global power grid?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What if it threw the whole thing off and we I don't know what the word to use here is, but like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, Maddie, what's the word? Not evolved, we regressed. There we go. Regressed.
Yeah.
And we regressed due to the sudden loss of that energy source. Because think about it, you lose that energy source and it powers everything. You lose everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to the worldwide connection of pyramids.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, the Great Pyramid of Giza never looked like that originally. It was like covered in
it had gold. It had gold and diamond at the top.
Yeah, that's wild.
Don't let none of this distract you from the fact that the British ate mummies.
Yeah, no shit.
Don't ever.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Ever let that distract you from that point.
God.
The British ate the mummies.
These rumors and legends about Antarctica that it's impossible to cover them all in one video. If you want me to go into detail on any of today's stories or any others, let me know. There's a lot of material out there.
We do.
Now, today we focused on the Younger Dryas impact theory, which moved Antarctica to a different position. We covered the caves and a few photo anomalies. We talked about the Navy SEAL who actually entered an alien facility.
Pause it for a second.
We talked about Brian.
So, when they say a 7-degree shift, think about that on a global scale. Yeah. 7 degrees on a global scale. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. I mean, that's That is absolutely huge for it to be enough of a shift globally to be 7 degrees different. It's absolutely massive. Like he even said at the beginning of the video, it was for a 7 degree tilt was 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's enough to cover it with ice. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, guys. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I just read a bunch of shit and I know stuff. Like I've never claimed to be a know-it-all. I hope everybody understands. I don't think I'm a know-it-all. I just know a little bit about a lot.
Yeah, 1,000 miles.
That's huge. I mean, like you understand, like even the area I'm in, like it's hardwoods. Even here you go, even better. Chris's area, mountainous hardwood forest is considered a rainforest. So, like Arkansas, where I live, is considered a subtropical climate, meaning we get super freaking muggy, but we're not a rainforest. Like we have dry periods and everything else. Like if I had to compare it to anything, I'd say we'd be darn close to like kind of like an Australian weather pattern, except for the fact I think we get a little bit more rain. Like we don't have just a one wet season; we have continuous moisture throughout the year. But I mean, when we get hot, we get hot. Chris has been here for the hot.
Oh yeah.
So it's, but at the same time, you go a few 100 miles, and it's a completely different climate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I drive for like what 13 hours, I think it is, if that.
Yeah.
I'm in Canada in a completely different climate. You know what I mean? So if like say a continent suddenly shifted 1,000 miles, it makes perfect sense that the climate would be so different that they would end up under that much ice.
I tend to agree with Dutch here.
Yeah, I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah, I think it was a global network.
You mean like a global power network that shares everything? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying.
And the Navy pilot who saw UFOs and
the giant fucking ice hole.
Right, the 300-foot wide hole in the ice. Fine. What's true and what isn't? Well, Brian's story is tricky. There is no photograph that we know of that hole in the ice. As far as I can find, there are no other whistleblowers. Whoever the missing scientists were, they're not talking. Now, Brian sounds sincere, but still, I'd take his story with a grain of salt. But Brian's reports of UFOs zipping around Antarctica are confirmed by multiple witnesses. UFOs are down there. I have no doubt about that. But the photos of the pyramids are also tricky. Some look like nothing more than pointy rocks. But there are a few that definitely look man-made.
Or alien-made.
Right. Now, I'd be interested to know if they have 8 sides like the Pyramid of Giza, but I couldn't tell from the photographs. The face, I'm convinced that's just pareidolia. Pareidolia is when our brains see objects in random patterns. But I have to admit, that definitely looks like an alien face. I don't think it is, but I'd love to be wrong. Now, according to mainstream science, the crash-landed spaceship is a boulder that rolled down a hill, or a piece of ice or rock that slid down a hill. Now, at first, this sounds ridiculous, but we rarely see the full image. In the full image, like this one from Forbes, you can actually see the outcropping where the boulder came from. So this one's probably debunked. Next, the Navy SEAL who found and entered the alien structure. Again, he's the only one telling the story. He won't give his name or what SEAL team he's with. So again, all we have to go on is his word. Now, by the way, a lot of today's information comes from a documentary by Linda Moulton Howe. It's called Antarctica: Alien Secrets Beneath the Ice. You can rent it on Amazon for $4, and it's worth every penny. In the documentary, the whistleblowers go into much more detail. They make sketches about what they saw. They talk about the stargates all over the planet that can take you someplace instantly. Some stargates can take you to other planets instantly. Anyway, I linked to her doc below. Now, as you know, I'm normally very skeptical of stories where we only have one witness. But Antarctica is a strange place. And I'm sure things are happening down there that are being hidden from the public. Now, the only way to access Antarctica is with permission from one of 12 government signatories of the Antarctic Treaty signed in 1959. This treaty divides the continent into zones administered by the various governments. It's a continent larger than the United States, and you're not allowed to go there. Now, there will be people in the comments saying, of course you can go there. You can take cruises there. You can even arrange to stay at one of the outposts. All that's true. But these are designated areas. Let's say you had the resources to fly a plane to where the hole is supposed to be. You can't. Thousands of square miles around it is a no-fly zone. You cannot explore Antarctica on your own. Now, the official reason for this is that human activity would disrupt the ecosystem. Now, that's a convenient excuse. Most of the surface is dead. There is no ecosystem. Besides, I don't care about the surface. I want to know what's underneath the ice. They're not going to tell us. The Antarctic Treaty was signed in December 1959 at the height of the Cold War, and it's never been broken. Now, I've heard that World War III will not come from a conflict near Russia or from something happening in the Middle East. World War III will occur when someone breaks the Antarctic Treaty. And if any of these whistleblowers are telling the truth, the United States already has broken the treaty. They claim major archaeological projects are underway right now, miles below the ice. But maybe the treaty hasn't been broken. Maybe all the governments are working together to uncover something, or they're working with, as Brian claims, several species of aliens right now.
I'd believe that.
Now, could there be ancient civilizations buried under the ice, frozen in time like the city of Pompeii? Sure, but until we're allowed to dig, we'll never know. But could there be an active civilization beneath the ice? Scientifically speaking, absolutely there could. Antarctica is the most volcanically active place on Earth. Geothermal heat could provide fresh water and a very comfortable climate for life, intelligent life, and not in small pockets. There are caverns beneath the ice that are said to be larger than Manhattan Island. Now, we'll never know until we're allowed to dig,
wild.
which we'll never be
Right?
allowed to do.
Could you imagine?
But here's a small wrinkle: global warming.
Here we go again with the global warming myth.
It's not a myth. The Earth is warming. Whether it's because of human activity or just part of the Earth's natural cycle, we don't know, but the Earth is warming.
How dare you?
So whether by pollution, an asteroid impact, or a massive solar event, there is a chance the Earth could warm quickly, like during the Younger Dryas. Then Antarctica would be free of ice, as it once was. Then the entire Earth would experience another cataclysmic flood. And if there is a civilization beneath Antarctica, it would be revealed. Now, if this global disaster happens, I guess there is a bright side. Civilization will continue. It just won't be ours. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. My name is AJ. That's Hecklefish.
Don't try to catch me with a hook, human. A fisherman caught me on a hook.
Well, there you go, folks. Antarctica, what a fun subject.
It is a fun subject.
Caverns under the ice as big as Manhattan Island. That is wild.
Right? That'd be pretty cool.
Stargates. What do you think about Stargates, Matt?
Oh, bro, it was a great TV show. Dutch watched it. I guess nobody else did.
I love the idea. I don't. It just sounds a little foo-foo to me. It sounds a little bit.
I don't know,
wild.
man.
Too
Okay,
wild.
no. Here's the thing. You can't talk about Bigfoot being a portal walker and then be like Stargates. Get the fuck off your high horse.
Oh,
Bigfoot can walk through portals. That's why we can't catch him. But Stargates is where I draw the line.
How crazy would that be, though, if you could?
I mean, it'd be pretty dope, wouldn't it?
Right onto another planet.
I wouldn't even use it for that, man. Do you know how cool it'd be? Just be like, hey, homie, I'm coming over. Cool. Dial you in on the big stone tablet.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. There's so much about our history that we really don't know.
Right.
Um, I I look forward to discoveries that could potentially be made public, but I don't know. The Antarctica thing is just so weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's really locked down, and I don't know if they discovered something crazy. It pisses me off to think that they could discover something as cool as some pyramid down there, and they're not telling us.
Oh, bro.
It angers me.
I don't think the world could handle that kind of discovery.
Really?
I think guys like us could handle it, but I think the world themselves, I don't think the world itself could. Because here's the thing, everyone would want to claim it. Think about how many countries there are in the world, and you have to go through 12 of them. One of the 12 to get to Antarctica. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Australia has 2 slices. Did you notice that on the map? Australia had 2 slices with France sandwiched between them.
Interesting. France sandwiched between a couple Aussies. Interesting.
Sounds like a good Friday night.
Aaron, you've got some splaining to do.
Russia never follows rules.
No, they don't. This multiple Ark of the Covenants, that's another interesting thing. My wife has never watched all the Indiana Jones movies.
Oh my goodness.
So
I will say this. The Big Bang Theory ruined one of the Indiana Jones movies for me.
Why? How'd they ruin it?
They called him out, bro.
What?
Think about it. The one with the Ark in it. Okay. Like that was Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't affect the plot line at all. Indiana Jones could not been around, and it all still would have played out the same way. He affects nothing at all in that movie.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Oh man, when they pointed that out, I was sitting there and I was like, oh, they're not wrong.
Huh. Interesting.
I mean, the other movies, him being there makes a difference. But Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark, he didn't need to be there. He could have took the day off.
My favorite part
is the Nazi face melting. Mine too.
No, it's the warehouse.
Oh, top men.
The idea that there's a warehouse out there with all the secrets. Like the Vatican archives. I want to know what is in the Vatican archives. I really do.
I don't want to know.
Do they have
Here's the thing. Like I know we do this show and we have a good time doing this show. But man, there's some stuff I'm okay not knowing.
Yeah.
I'm happy to live my life, driving my big white Moby Dick truck around. And then just doing hood rat shit with my friends. Like I'm cool. If it's something that's beneficial to the world that came out and I was like, oh cool, we talked about that. You know what I mean? I'm cool. But like, man, in all honesty, I love doing the show and I love us bouncing these ideas off each other. But I'm perfectly fine not knowing if a lot of this stuff is true or not. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. True or not true.
Otto Greenwich broke into the Vatican archives. Is that true?
I don't know. But I mean, it doesn't. But like I say, it doesn't affect my day to day if this stuff's true or not. You know. Like they could be like Bigfoot's real. Cool. I still have to go to work on Monday.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it would have to. What would it take for you to go? You know what? Fuck work. I'm not going back.
I honestly don't know because I mean I got bills to pay and I bought a diesel and I have like poor financial decisions. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I always had to punch a clock.
There was a period of time when gas was getting crazy where diesel was still like $3.15 a gallon, and I was loving it.
Bro, here's the thing though. Here, the gas stations kept regular gas cheap,
Mhm.
and they jacked up the diesel. Diesel got
Yeah.
close to $5 here before.
Yeah. Oh, close to $5. That is so cheap.
Listen, man,
I know.
when our cost of living is a lot cheaper than yours, $5 is outrageous. This guy's making sense.
Oh boy.
This guy's making a lot of sense. Toe pig slammed on the ground. Toe pig slammed on the ground.
How many people you got going with you down to Matt's or not Matt's place, Blake's place?
I got like 4 people going with me, like three guys. It's me and 3 guys. Because it's actually expanded. It's turned into an adventure. We're gonna tow the truck down, drop it off, do a couple of things, and then we gotta run over like 2 to 3 hours, and then to the west to grab some wheels because mini truckers. To grab some wheels and then shoot back up. All in all, the round trip's gonna be like almost 21 hours.
That's awesome.
Just me and the homies and the rig going.
That's cool. My heart was recently broken, dude, because I had this crazy idea. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I ran across a really cheap Dodge Magnum with a blown Hemi.
Yeah.
And I was like, it would be so cool to build an Ecto 1 out of a Dodge Magnum with like a patina like Ghostbusters theme. I was like, oh, that'd be sick.
That would be cool.
And I Googled it and realized it's not a fucking original idea at all.
It's been done? Oh, okay.
Any Dodge Magnums converted to Ecto 1, but I have a vision in my mind. I think it would be really cool. So I've designed automotive wraps before, but I've never sold one and I've never actually had one made. I've just designed it.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to play around and design it. Some spare time I got.
So should we get the bad news here? I mean,
ooh,
Dutch.
This really isn't the show for it, but I will say that I'm probably not going to Mo Party this year.
I don't think I'm hitting Mo Party either, and I'm 95% confident Blake said he is not going as well.
I'm 95% confident that I'm going to cruise in the coast. That's my plan. But
you know what? I might try to make that. But here's the thing, guys. Again, this isn't the show, but almost everybody that watches this show is car guys with us. I have made a declaration that I am not going to any events until I have my D100 on the road. Now, I'll hit the Cars and Coffee here because it's just a cruise over in the morning and hang out for a couple hours. But like, I'm not traveling to Kentucky. I'm not traveling to Vegas. I'm skipping Vegas this year. I'm not going to Vegas with Chris.
Man, I've been getting some news from a bunch of my buddies that aren't going. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, sorry, buddy, but I mean, it cost me like almost $800 for
It's
the weekend. Yeah, and it was just, man, it's just until I get Chief on the road, I'm not going to anything. I've got to focus up, get that truck going, get some stuff squared away. I mean, I gotta get that truck on the road. I gotta get started on hitting on my wife's truck and get it on the road because I'm tired of seeing it just sitting on the side of the house, neglected and abandoned. And then it's duster time.
Oh yeah, I've got all sorts of shit I need to do. That's why I like with the show. Everybody, I know people have been disappointed that we haven't done a couple weeks, and it's like the weekends is like the only time we get to do anything.
So I mean, the thing of it is like I said, I love doing the show, but it's just it honestly feels like my weekends are completely catered around doing this show and my other show.
Yeah.
And it's just I need to chisel out free time for myself and my family.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I think a lot of guys just don't and it's not that you guys don't appreciate us and doing the show and don't enjoy our show. It's just I think a lot of some folks don't understand. Chris and I aren't getting paid to do these things. We're not getting paid. We're not getting paid to come on here and talk about this stuff. We're not getting paid for our other shows. I mean, it's just we just do this because we enjoy sitting down with our homies and just talking a bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's just a good time for us. So I mean, but something's got to give.
Yeah.
because I mean, we've got to focus up on our personal lives and not get caught slipping there. So
yeah, it can be a bear. And there's weekends where I'm like, I really want to do the show. I started to feel guilty for not doing it, and that's where I was like, all right, now we got a problem because I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing it for fun.
Dutch,
That's correct.
I need you to take a step back and fuck your own face, okay? And then here's this guy. See you in the morning, sir.
That's funny. But all right, dude. Yeah, that was a good show. It was fun. Fun to talk
Good time.
about Antarctica. We'll be back in a couple, and not next weekend, but the weekend after.
Yep, we'll see y'all in a couple weeks. I got named after a duster. Did you really? So unfortunate. Bro, okay. I don't know if I told you and Blake this. I think I did. But I have a buddy that is getting published and everything as a car photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and covered the Daryl Starbird event and sent me a 73 Duster. It was blown. It looked so cool. And then I Mopar guided him. And I felt so bad for doing it because I've never been that guy. And I can't believe I was this guy for like 2 seconds. I was like, yeah, but it's a 73. Look at that nose. Ugh. And I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, look at the beak on that thing.
Bro, they're just so ugly.
Oh man.
But yeah, I immediately got called out by that group in that group text. Steve was there. He saw it. It was not pretty.
All right. Well, yeah, Aaron, you're definitely always going to be the first name in the baby book. Aaron.
You done messed up, Aaron.
On that note, thank you everybody for joining us once again on Talking Paranormal. We will see you here in a couple weeks. All right. Thanks. Stay spooky. Be weird.
Get weird.
Get weird. Stay weird so you don't have to get weird.
Get out there and check out an Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, and if you're checking out that Aurora Borealis and you happen to see a portal, there's one thing that you do not want to do.
Oh, no, definitely put your dick in the Aurora Borealis portal.
Are we changing it? Are we saying, yeah, go ahead?
I mean, if it's an Aurora Borealis portal, I'm definitely shooting my shot.
You only live once. Shoot that shot and stick that dick in
Shoot that shot.
Anything's possible. And Matt, of course.
It's always 1,000% maybe.
Always 1,000% maybe. We'll see you next time right here on Talking Paranormal.
Have a good night, everybody.